Greetings, Devans. Just allow me a moment to share this. Hope I'm clear. Let me know if I'm not audible. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm putting it to the group also so that. Okay, I'm done. So, greetings to you, whoever is awake at this hour. Today is Mahavir Jayanti. I'm not very fond of Jayantis, but it reminds me of great masters like Mahavira. So, they are the torch bearers for seekers like us, where they help us to reflect and understand spirituality, give us hints and guidelines to reach the path. So, all these things I'm doing again and again to put on the seriousness of this path. The path is a very serious path. Serious in the sense, I keep saying don't take it very seriously, but then I keep saying it's serious. It's a mixture of both actually. To take it lightly in the sense, the whole idea is to grace through this life, through spirituality, without making it too rigid, making it very easy to move forth. Spirituality is very easy, we make it complicated. But at the same time, unwavering attention to wherever we are heading, whatever the goals we seek, unwavering attention. That is very important, and that is why we talk about all these great masters who had this. They are our inspiration, they are our source of guidance. Looking at their lives helps us understand about our own lives. Looking at their challenges, we can understand our own challenges. And by looking at all these great beings like Mahavir, Buddha, Nanak, Jesus, Muhammad, Ram, Krishna, all the mighty beings that came on earth, if you observe very carefully their life, you will see that their life was never easy. All these names whom I mentioned just now, you reflect and see their life has never been easy. It's been filled with a lot of challenges. And the way they have overcome the spiritual path gives us inspiration. If you look at all these great beings, they had unwavering attention towards their goal, including the person we are talking about tonight, Lord Mahavira. Unwavering attention, and he had certain clarity of the path, and he shared his own journey after finding success after months and years, decades of practice. You look at all the great beings like Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Mahavir, Nanak. They spent an entire lifetime in their search, going through all the upheavals. You look at even Lord Ram, the kind of challenges he had, and he never took for granted his divinity. If you see the life of Lord Ram, it would have been so easy for him because he was a prince. He could have all the attention, he could have got all the power and support, but he never utilized those. Lord Ram's life, if you see, even knowing that he's a divine one, obviously he was very much aware that he is divine. He knew who he is, but still the human journey was taken as though it's a very normal journey like you and me take. That's the simplicity, humility, and the challenges of human life once you come in the catch of karma. Lord Narayan himself had to take this form of Lord Ram just due to karma, to fulfill the karma. These are examples to show us that the whole scenario, the whole play runs on the fuel called karma. And these whole great beings, these great masters, came with messages and examples to show how we can get out of that karma, loop of karma also. Karma binds ones to birth and death, but also they showed us with their practical ways of living how one can get off of karma also. The best part is you look at all these beings whom I'm talking right now. Lord Rama, Prince. Buddha, Prince. Today, whom we are talking about, Mahavira, Prince. The 23 Tirthankars before Mahavira, all Prince, all of them from the royal kingdom. And there have been so many prince and kings in the history of Vairagis, not Siddhas, not saints. All these prince and kings were extreme Vairagis, sannyasis, who renounced material comfort, who renounced all bodily attachments, who renounced worldly pleasure. All of them, what we just talked about, all of them. One common thing when I was contemplating today on Mahavira was, and all these great prince and yogis, Vairagis were, their level of detachment. All these people whom I just took name, level of detachment. Even say Lord Jesus Christ, Guru Nanak, Adi Shankaracharya. You name it and you'll see Vairagya. Name it. And we sit in the cocoon of attachment, justifying that it is part of the spiritual journey. We prefer teachings which suit the comfort of our spiritual lives. It's all based on comfort. And you look at all these messages of all these people whom I just talked about. None of them, all these people whom I named, lived a life of comfort. They renounced comfort. Starting from Lord Ram, whom I took name. That itself is a clear cut message that to achieve what they achieve, there has to be a certain level of vairagya. It's not possible without it. And Avadut Gita talks about it. Chidakasha Gita talks about it, where Bhagavan Nityananda very clearly says, without that vairagya, you cannot attain Kaivalya. Kaivalya, all these Tirthankars who attained had extreme vairagya. Now, it may contradict your beliefs of what you know in spirituality, that it's okay to be drowned in samsara and still talk of or dream of kaivalya. Impossible. If I would say it, you would call me a crook or a rebellion. But I'm mentioning about all these masters whom I'm closely observing. What is it that brought them success? And all of these people whom I just mentioned, extreme vairagis, extreme detachment, extreme renouncing abilities, all of them attain kaivalya. All of them. Compare it with the people or with anyone who is floating or swimming in samsara, how difficult it is. Not even close to where all these beings, what I just mentioned of, not even close to what they have attained. Not even close to. That itself is a living proof of what this path is. This is a path of intense seekers, path of truth. You can't afford to keep making mistakes here. If you do, there is a big tumble also. I always say, the higher you go, the harder the fall. The higher you go, the harder the tests will be there. Be very careful. You might rejoice about spiritual evolution. You might be very happy about whatever is happening in life, good things or spiritual attainments and all that. But with that comes the catch of Maya. If you do not develop your power of discrimination, which is Viveka or Buddhi, easy to slip. Very, very easy to slip, because you can't differentiate what is real and unreal, what is the truth and untruth. Everything will seem the same. Everything goody goody will seem nice. That's the catch of glamour spirituality. If there is no power of discrimination, glamour spirituality is pure Maya. Glamour that has entered into spirituality, or spirituality that has entered into glamour. What is glamour? Comforts and the adjustments, the easy ride, choosing the easy ride, manipulating teachings according to own convenience to suit one's own ability or adapt to one's own comforts. You just look around, you'll see so much of all these things happening. Entire religions manipulate the teachings. Teachings go in one direction, population is going in another direction. So, if such mass population can go berserk, it is not a surprise if paths can go berserk, communities can go berserk, groups can go berserk. It shows the intense level of sharp discrimination that is needed on the path. Without that, nothing is going to happen. You look at the life of Mahavira. He preached simple things, and it was all based, Lord Mahavira's life was all based on truth, wisdom, and non-violence, detachment, renouncement, sacrifice. Mahavira lived that life. Now, if you look at Mahavira's life, it has been intensely painful, a lot of sufferings, which is why the religions that follow him also practice all those methods of intense austerities, inflicting pain on their bodies. Now, inflicting pain doesn't give kaivalya. as the belief goes. But the pain and suffering indicate the great masters who never resisted to sufferings. They welcomed sufferings. In fact, they were more than welcoming to the pain and sufferings. Why? Scientifically, if you see, it is the quick exhaustion of prarabdha. Whatever has to come in slow bits, they are now welcoming with open hands. So that whatever prarabdha they are destined, let it finish it off. Let it finish off in their lifetime. That is how and why they welcomed suffering. Please know this one thing: without karma, you cannot inflict suffering on yourself. You cannot, even if you want it, it won't come to you. We see that Mahavira actually preached about sufferings, being open to sufferings. So everybody believes that if he is open to suffering, we also suffer, and if we suffer, we will get kaivalya. It's not like that. Because the simple funda of understanding that if you don't have bad karmas, suffering cannot come to you. And if you don't have good karmas, happiness and comfort cannot come to you. As simple as that. So if somebody, some saint or some great master is suffering, it means something that is there already in the baggage. They are open heartedly, with open arms, they are welcoming their sufferings and they have no resistance to it. They are not saying no to it. Why? Simply because they allow the exhaustion to happen without resistance and delaying the process. That is what the whole message of Mahavira was. But we can misunderstand it. We can say that he has done something, let us also do something. He was without clothes, let us also go without clothes. I have nothing to say about who am I to comment on religions. I'm not talking about any religion. I'm just talking about our mentality whenever we look at an enlightened being or their path. We can ditto follow them without understanding the tattva, the purpose behind it. So if you properly understand Lord Mahavira's journey, or in fact any enlightened being's journey, you can catch the right message without getting too fanatical about it and just blindly following something because somebody did something. Like, for example, if Mahavira walked without clothes, it's not that if you also walk without clothes, you're going to attain that. That that aspect of Mahavira where he had no clothes simply was a straight indication of the kind of detachment he had even to cover up his body. There was no need to even cover up his body. That denotes the loss of ego, the complete annihilation of ego. Because only when ego is present does shame come in, embarrassment come in. And to protect embarrassment and shame, one can hide their body. But when somebody has lost their ego completely, it doesn't make any difference to them whether they have clothes on their body or they don't have, like the avdutas. You look at the avdutas. Most of the avdutas, like Digambar avdutas, they are always nude. It is not that they have chosen nudity as their uniform to identify or label themselves as avdutas or Digambars. It simply means that they have risen above that need to protect their bodies. Their need to hide anything. They have nothing to hide. So the clothes fall off by itself. They don't quit the clothes itself fall off their bodies. Like Bhagavan Nityananda's langot, the loin cloth, never stayed on his body. It used to always fall whenever Britishers tried to tie that to him because the body itself did not need it. until some devotee tried, after requesting Baba, and he allowed them to do that. So these are all states of certain levels of consciousness, which indicates their indifference to anything around them. Lord Mahavira was a prince. He was indifferent to the wealth and fame and glory and status and wealth. Rajyog, he quit it. Practical person. He was married. He had a daughter. But what is his relation to them? You observe carefully, it seems like he was never married to them. And that is true because he was forced to marry. And this is what happens in many saints' life. Because they don't have this vasana or urge or any need or dependency on anybody. Marriage means I am incomplete and I need another person to complete me. These beings are beyond it. So if they are caught hold of and forcefully made to do a certain things, they might do it, but they have no attachment to it. Absolutely no attachment to it. Like there was a great Sufi saint here in Karnataka, a few kilometers from where I live. His name was Mastan. And he was a disciple of a great master who was almost at the state of Avduta. I think he was Siddharudha Swami's Shishya. I'm not very sure. But the master was a great master who used to almost he was nude, only a loincloth sitting. And Mastan was a Muslim, a Sufi, who was the Shishya of this so called Hindu Avduta. There's nothing called Hindu Avduta, but the followers of this Avduta were all Hindus. So, whenever they sat near this Avduta, the great master, they used to see this Mastan Sufi moving about like crazy, not in his senses. And one day, he went to have his bath. Now, Mastan was had this habit of wearing royal clothes, all silvery type, or what do you call that? Satin kind of robes, turbans of silk, and sometimes even ornaments. And he moved around. So people wondered, the guru is in a loincloth and the shishya is wearing all kind of robes, all kind of costly stuff on his body. And they wondered, the guru is completely a vairagi, no attachment. And here is the shishya who's attached, adorning all this stuff. So one day they were sitting near this great master in this loincloth, and Mastana had gone for his bath. He was bathing inside and singing his song in the bathroom. Everybody could hear it. So everybody was like, what is this guy up to? He's singing songs loudly, he wears all the best of clothes, and what's happening? And here is his master silently sitting, no clothes, no attachment to anybody, not even the vasana of singing. So people start complaining to the master, Master, you are this way, and your disciple is this way. Why are you not heeding anything? He said, what happened? And he said, look at all the clothes that he is wearing, all of silk, and look at the way he lives, singing songs, dancing about, moving around happily, and here you are sitting in silence. So the Avduta laughs, the master laughs, and says, oh, that's all you know about him? Wait, he says. And he shouts, Mastan. And Mastan comes running from the bathroom without his clothes. Everybody shocked and embarrassed. Mastan says, "Yes, master." And the Avduta says, "Here is the one whom you were just now complaining. He's covering his body with all these ornamental stuff. Here he is standing nude in front of you." Mastan is not aware and he's asking, "What's up? What happened?" He says, "Nothing. Go, continue with your bath." And he goes back singing. So, being in there but not attached to it, this is how even Mahavir I could relate. If he is a prince and if he was married, they wanted him, forced him, and he was helpless, what can he do? He simply married and he lived according to the circumstances without opposing, challenging, fighting, grumbling, complaining, victimizing himself. But he did what he had to do. He went and spoke to his father once that I want to renounce this world and kingdom and go in search of my truth. He was talking about sannyas, and his father was shocked. He says, "No way, I will not allow you to do that." Mahavir had no option but to return back to his room and stay confined in there. He never disobeyed, he never fought, nothing. But he still continued doing what was supposed to do. He was meditating, he was inwardly withdrawn all the time. He was contemplating on his truth, on his path. For many years, he was a young prince, but he remained in the palace, not fighting anyone, until he lost his father. When he lost his father, now he was ready. Not just his father, he lost his parents. Now he said, "Now there is no one who can question me on this. Now I'll leave." And his brother was just returning from the funeral. And Mahavir said, "I'm leaving now. It's time for me to leave. Now there is nothing much for me to do. You are here to take care of the whole thing." And brother was also not very happy. And he says, "Nothing doing. You have to be here. How can you leave us? Just now the father left, parents left, and now you being elder, you are also doing the same. What an agony is this?" Mahavir quietly returned back again. No complaint, no grumbling, no resistance, no fights. He was a man of non-violence, ahimsa. That's what his biggest teaching was, ahimsa paramo dharma. The first dharma, righteousness, is non-violence. So according to him, non-violence did not mean hurting anybody by actions, but even by any deeds, words, or even thoughts. And his nature was such, he didn't oppose. He quietly went back. But he continued doing what he was doing. For another 2 years, he was completely withdrawn. And now, all the people who had confined him to the palace and wanted him back, whatever the reasons were, they found that he was as good as absent there. He was not present. Physically, his body was there, but he was not present there. And they said, "There is no use now to hold on to this person who's as good as absent. What difference will it make if he remains here or doesn't remain here? Is as good as he is not being here." Finally, they had to let him go. And that is when he walks away at the age of 30. Here again, I'm pointing the persistence that he had, even as a prince, he didn't leave. Even as a married person, as a husband, he didn't leave. He was never a husband. That's another story. He could be claimed to be a husband, but he could never be a husband. A father, but never caught again by those connections. He didn't lose his purpose. He persisted, come what may. Finally, the patience you could see when everything settled down, he left and continued on his journey and wandered for years together. Another 12 years and plus so many years after that, until he attained enlightenment. Renouncement was his first path. I'm not advocating that everybody should renounce. What I'm trying to tell here very clearly is the more stronger the disconnection, the faster the path. Otherwise, you can always beat around the bush and be in the comfort. That's all fine. You can move through the journey very slowly, take years and years, or janmas and janmas, and attain the goal. Nobody is going to stop you. So I'm not talking to those people who think that there is a lot of time, a lot of janmas, I can take care of it. If that is the mentality, then obviously this is just a time pass. Spiritual path is just to keep us entertained, keep us safe, keep us healthy, keep us wealthy, fulfill all our desires and vasanas, and just act like an anchor. That's all. One anchor. So that I don't get lost completely into samsara, but I can't give up the samsara also. I want to swim in it and I want to keep tasting it also, and I want to keep holding the rope also. This rope is just a sahara. This is just a formality coming out of fear. What if I drown in the samsara? So I don't want to drown, but at the same time, I don't want to leave it also. Very difficult. Modern spirituality talks all about these only. And you'll see how people are splashing in that samsara, suffocating and trying to surface up, and then drowning, and then again trying to surface up, gasping for breath. Sometimes having intense desire to get out of these waters, but in the process of getting out of the water, they want to have one bit of taste, another last dip, one more dip of that comfort. When you like the water in a bathtub, or in a river, or in a stream, or in the hot water kund, what happens is you always want that last dip, one more, one more. You want that last mug. That's the very nature of Maya. That's the very nature of how the whole Maya can keep you glued in the samsara and yet talk so goody goody and justify it with so many philosophies. Like, for example, the Grahastha ashram. It is such a beautiful, grand excuse for so many. I keep meeting people. It's a beautiful excuse to sink into samsara and justify our actions and say we are still moving towards liberation. But I'm unable to. If I ask them what's happening, they will come back to the same one last dip, one last mug. The moment, the moment I talk these things, people just vanish. Because suddenly when the numbers change, my eyes go there and I see that 4, 5 suddenly leave. First of all, it is not meant for them. They somehow land up here. I don't know why. The same vasana of time pass, just to peep here and there. In the samsara also we are stuck that way. Just one bite here, one bite there, little bit of there, little bit of here. So on the online also platform, let me see here, let me see there. What is there? What can I get? Something that can suit my comfort, my ego. Something that can keep me comfortable, cocooned, in the wrong ideas and philosophies that I've built over all these years, and I am in that belief system that this is how it is, conditioned in a certain way, and I can't get rid of that. No way things are going to work for them. Anyways, that's their journey. If they choose to have time pass, there are plenty of time pass paths. You can spend a lifetime in those places, lifetime doing so many things, and yet being where you are, or maybe even worse than that. Today I was talking to one guy, personal consultation. I have stopped personal consultations, but this was an urgent. His sister said, please, please stop. And I said, okay, 1 hour I can spend, but I'm not going to do any sessions where I do these kind of what you call therapy or anything like that. Previously, maybe I was doing, but now since the webinars have opened, please sign up. I said, please, you can go, and they're very nominal costs. I'm keeping very nominal costs. I would like to keep a session for all the dedicated members here. Today, that thought came to me. All who have been on this platform shifting into awareness, whether you are in the group, whether you have attended events or not, but I just want to keep a 1 to 2 hour session where we can have an intense practice of the shifting into awareness. And I wanted to keep it completely free, but then I thought, no, at least let me keep nominal, maybe 50 100 bucks also. But that amount at least will give a certain kind of discipline to that area. It will be a Zoom event, so there will be no complaint that we can't afford it or anything like that. Anyways, all my webinars are very down priced. Anybody can afford it. I mean, we go and blow up in a coffee, in a cafe, just 500 bucks, drinking 1 or 2 cups of coffee and eating one snack. And when it comes to spending 6 hours for ourselves doing some intense things, and 700 bucks is too much for, I don't understand that. These are all lame excuses what we give for our own journey. So I said, anyways, if really that is the case also, I'll keep it very nominal, 50 100 bucks, but there will be some price attached to it. And then whoever wants can sign up, and we are going to go straight into the basics and the basic practice of how to intensify that. If you build up that practice, then things will be easy, because everybody now I'm turning to is asking for some practice. What is the practice that we do? Asking for some videos. Can I see somewhere where I can practice? So I said, okay, then we can do this for everyone, and they can be there and experience. It's all about experience. I don't philosophize things. I love experiencing what we talk about. So we actually go into it deeply and experience it. That will give us a conviction. So I believe after that there should be no complaints. So, and there will be all these deeper stuff, and all these things are coming from my life, what I did, like the power of forgiveness, what I'm practicing, what I practiced for a couple of months very intensely back in 2009 2010, helped me come out of the deep heaviness that I was stuck in during that time. I remember forgiveness is the mool mantra for my life, because when I began my journey, I was unable to forgive, and there was so much of resentment in me. And I've mentioned this many times. The first place I walked into was Ganeshpuri, and the first word I heard at Nityanand Baba's chair was forgive. I couldn't understand that time. What is this? What I'm hearing about, whether it's my mind or illusion or whatever, it didn't make any sense. All that I could hear was forgive, it is meant to be, forgive, it is meant to be, forgive, it is meant to be, forgive, it is meant to be. It is meant to be. ये तो होना ही है, होना ही था. So I couldn't understand any bit of it, and I was a big fan of Jesus Christ because he was a great master of forgiveness. unconditional love. Because when you go to the extreme of forgiveness, two things come around with it: total acceptance of yourself and the whole world, unconditional love for yourself, and unconditional love for the world. Jesus Christ qualities. And I was not very surprised on the synchronicity. I was so fond of that aspect of Christ. And here, when I walk to Nityananda, what I hear is forgive. And I don't know how to forgive because it's so difficult to forgive. How can you forgive whom you're hating day in and night? Who gives you restless nights? Whose face comes up and you can tear up anything or burn up anything? You're in that kind of a state. How can one forgive? So I never took that seriously. Then when I saw my master first, my Gurudev, Avdut Shivanand, on the television, on the Asta channel, when I was first seeing him, the first time I on the channel, and the first word that he was speaking was forgiveness, importance of forgiveness. And that episode was based on forgiveness. I didn't understand that link, but it was clear to me that until I forgive, I cannot go ahead. And then a couple of years later, I spent only in this forgiveness because it was so dirty. That pain and suffering that I was inflicting, because it doesn't matter whether the other person has forgiven you or not, but what matters is you are forgiven. If you have not forgiven, you suffer, not necessarily that the other person suffers. All the hate, grudges, revenge, fear, guilt, resentment, all those things that is there, only you are the sufferer, the other person will not. And so after a couple of months of that intense practice, which came very spontaneously, I was doing a particular sadhana of my Gurudev, but there was some other additional things also that was happening. And I found it very useful only after a couple of months. When I saw that the whole weight of that burden of that hate had just dissolved. A little bit of it left. I won't deny that. There was a little bit of it left. And it took me around another year to dissolve that off completely. Until I could just think of the person and smile. And only love came out. And it was so relieving. So relieving. Then I continued using that in all aspects of my life. Every person that I could. Whether I know that person or don't know. Because I don't know if there can be resentment. But I am still working on it. I found that very releasing. Because major stuff is that burden. And today when I meet a lot of people, personal sessions, I can see bottled up. And it's very difficult to do that repeatedly again. So I said, let me do one webinar only on that. And whoever is in that frame, it doesn't mean that if I'm attending that, I've got grudges against someone. You don't even remember your grudges. That's the big problem. Some people you may remember the incident that happened to you. Many you don't remember. Many are from childhood. They're all sunk down into your being, into your chitta, subconscious, and they're acting from there, and you don't know what's pulling you down all the time. So heavy all the time, gloomy, heavy. So these practices will actually help you open up your heart chakra first. It opens up that. It will open up many things to even oneness, seeing oneness in everybody. Because distinction also is non-forgiveness in some way. Non-acceptance, exactly. Unable to accept. Non-acceptance and non-forgiveness are go together hand in hand. So I thought, let's do it. And this Sunday we are doing it. Early morning, 7 or 6, I think. 6 to 12 or 7 to 1 or something like that. I don't remember. So that time I've kept it purposely because the Western world also can do it. And many of you I can see from the Western world have already signed up. It's good enough. I look forward to that. That if you see, if you do it for a couple of weeks or months, depending on the quota that you have, you'll see suddenly things dissolving in your life. and your approach is changing. So that is the first step I wanted to just clear off before we enter into inner child healing, which is in May. I deliberately kept it later. People are saying put that now. I said no, let's do that later, because there is no need to be impatient in this journey. Let me fix up everything. So it's a step by step process. If we are doing it little by little, a lot of things will clear up. And then inner child is for those who have had intense or aggressive kind of childhood, or non-caring, unsupportive childhood, where they have suffered, not received, lack of attention, not received proper love, not taken care of, abused physically, mentally, sexually, emotionally, whatever that abuse was, narcissism, highly controlling and manipulative people in their lives, and being victims of that, and being conditioned very badly, and being programmed wrongly, because the whole life goes a waste then, because they are unable to understand what's happening in their life. I'm surprised because just last 2 days there were two sessions that came in. Both were teenagers. One was even just in basic 20s, very deeply depressed and gloomy. Not depressed actually, but very heavy and burdened and gloomy, and everything is a failure in life, not understanding what's happening. Both the cases same. One that I spoke to had a very bad childhood, very manipulative people in life. And I felt very bad talking to that person, because he's a beautiful soul by heart. So cheerful and open he was. Never shared anything in his world with anybody, not even his friends. And here he was opening up. He told me that I am such a person that I never talk to anybody. I don't have friends. I have not talked to anybody. I don't like discussing it with anybody, not even my family, my relatives, my friends, nothing. Then I said, okay, so I don't expect you to tell me also that. And he laughed and he said, no, I will tell you because I'm expecting help. And then he told me many things of his life which disturbed him in so much. And I could see his pattern today also was the same like a small child. How a small child behaves in the control of controlling situations like parents or family. Helpless, no choice of own. Everything is being decided by somebody else. Stuck. The child is always stuck because small children are always dependent on their parents. And that's what makes them cling on to their parents, because they have no other support. But unfortunately, even when they grow up, things are different. They can fly, but they are unable to, because their wings are being chopped off by those conditionings. It is the same story of a elephant, a small elephant, baby elephant, being chained to one leg, and it will try to move, but it can't, because the chains are thick. It tries and tries and tries, and finally it gives up. Finally it knows it cannot move beyond that vicinity. But when the elephant grows up, it behaves in the same manner. You look at all the elephants who are tied, they have such chains. They might be thick, but it gives one kick and it can break the chains into pieces, but it won't do it. Programmed. It will go little forward and little pull by the chain, it will stop there. Conditioning. This is how many people's lives run. Childhood conditioning. There is a child that has been unhealed and wounded, and the child is still living a wounded life in that adult. So the whole process of this inner child healing is to heal that little child within, resurface all those incidents, relive it, and other tools to release all those traumas and become free. I had done this during COVID time once. That was too extensive. Almost whole day for 5 days it was happening. So that's too extensive. And I was also learning. I never had any idea what I was doing then. It just spontaneously was flowing through me and I did it. No idea. But today I have a good grasp of all these things and I can structure them little well. And that's what happening. You can see sudden changes happening on all these platforms and things are getting structured into some events or course or things like that. So this I was already doing, but it was very scattered. So now divine grace and all the experiences that I've had in this past 2 years, I'm able to put that in place and help those who are sincerely seeking help. And all these retreats and all those things, you can see they're very powerful, very, very powerful. They're life changing. Your own expressions, your own sharings, talk about it. But there is nothing that I want to highlight too much and publicize those events, though all your things are coming. But even if your testimonies are coming, I would like to just put it there for people who are still in two minds or have these doubts. So it will help them understand where similar thing can take whichever that course or whichever those things are, can take them in their life. And if they relate with it, they can take help. That's the whole idea about. And I can see there is a good response to retreats like Tirunamalai. The June event already has around 11 people booked. July event already has about 6 people booked, registered. So I believe people are understanding the importance of these places, the higher tattvas, living in that kind, the seriousness of the path. They're looking forward to the depth of these elements. And I am happy because this is all His grace, all His grace, all His doing, Arunachala, His wish. I always say His wish is my command. So whatever happens, I'm just going with the flow. But there also, everybody who are serious only are gathering. I can see them. I can see people who are intense in their seeking. Deep seekers only can end up and spend time, energy, or even money for their own deeper growths without even asking for comforts, because there are people coming from so far, coming from well to do families, doctors coming in, bureaucrats coming in. Last time we had two advocates also. We had one person from the crime branch police also. He is retired, but he was also there. From all walks of life, people are taking it seriously. Businessmen are coming. And all well-to-do people, they have all the comforts in their homes, but then they choose a small building, small rooms, small areas, and they're ready to be congested in that because they can see life happening there. Probably what you can't see in big AC halls or big havelis or big hotels. You can see that oneness, that spirit of spirituality, the deepening, the experience of that consciousness. What one experiences is very important, not the philosophy. What one is experiencing, that experience gives them everything. And they forget everything, all their comforts and all that. And they love to stay in such simple, choosing simple food, simple people, simple modalities, you know, traveling in even auto rickshaws, by walk, all those things. It's okay. And they're understanding this is life. Glamour and the Maya is another life. The world is another life, a fake life where we are living. And here, when you come and live the real you feel so much connected. And people have memories and they don't want to go back and all those things, including me, because my life is there. It's not that I don't live it here, but my life of purpose is there. So I find it very purposeful and meaningful. People coming from different countries, Singapore, Malaysia, US, New Zealand, other places, Mauritius, Netherlands, happy to be there despite that heat, coming from even cold countries and not being adversely affected by that heat, or complete opposite climate, humidity, and such a meek life that you live. But it's all worth it. They can feel it. They can feel it in their soul. That is what happens when you choose the path with your heart and soul. And when you walk the soul, the whole path with your soul, heart and soul, life becomes very simple. And in simplicity, there is contentment, there is meaning, which is what I'm again relating to this path that Mahavir followed. Why did they leave all the comforts and choose the forest path? It gave them life, it gave them meaning. And how much ever the world wanted to hold them, they all failed. Whoever tried to hold them, they all failed. Eventually, they walked out. So, till age 72, Mahavira lived and preached whatever he learned, and his major preachings were about non-violence, ahimsa parmo dharma, satyavachan, that is truth, being completely truthful and transparent, asteya, non-attachment or non-possession of anything that belongs to others, brahmacharya, refraining from sexual conduct, aprigaraha, not acquiring property, stuff, things of comfort, basic simple teachings he had. Non-violence was in his life, so much as to not cause even inconvenience to anybody. That was his major tattva of non-violence. You could see he did not even offend anybody at home, but he did not compromise. That one aspect you can see very strongly. What I am studying very strongly on him is that compromise was not there, even if he was silent. Truthfulness, complete truthfulness. And he went to the extent of even being so truthful that he talked of harmless truth, speaking the harmless, any truth that harmed also he refrained. Anybody in any way hurt anybody, he refrained. Only the harmless truth he talked about. Other times he remained mum. Such a great learning. I was investigating into all this and I said, wow, this is something. Aste means non keeping your eyes away from anything that belongs to others, not owning anybody's property. Anybody's property means whatever does not belong to you, never eyeing that. It can be somebody's property, somebody's possession, somebody's wife, somebody's husband, somebody's girlfriend, somebody's boyfriend, somebody's house, somebody's property, somebody's name. somebody's food, somebody's money, somebody's title. It can go on. Anything that does not belong to you, don't have your eye on it. That is what he said. Because it creates karma. Now, that is what you have to understand. Why he was doing all this? Why did he teach all these things? Non-violence and satya bolna, aprigraha, and then aste, brahmacharya. Because all these somewhere inflicted karma, and that would increase your journey on the path. Simple. कट्टरपंथी कुछ नहीं है इसमें. Disciplines can help you get rid of rigid karma if you are a lousy person. I have seen many lousy persons in my life. Not ready to work, lazy, not ready to do anything. No discipline in life. जब आए उठे, जब वह सोए, जो कुछ आया खाए पिए मौज किए, did this, did that nonsense, all kind of nonsense in life. Non-stop. No regrets. No change in behavior. Mistakes after mistakes. And then justifying it all with the spiritual talks. Or taking one bit of teaching from this master, one from that master, covering it up and saying, all is well. You may fool me, you may fool the world, you can't fool your karma. Because that is accumulating. That is what Mahavir is so strict about. Why was his life so strict? He was only strict because he led an example of no compromise on the path. Such rigidity was there in his disciplines. So we can easily be non-violent. We can do anything. We can think, we can say, and we can even physically go and do a lot of stuff to people. Ahimsa accumulates worst of karmas. Saying lies, covering up, manipulative behaviors, justifying, all falseness. This is covering up one story after the other. एक झूठ छुपाने के लिए दूसरा झूठ. Completely against satya. It is asatya. Asatya accumulates more karmas. Asteya, not maintaining. My eyes is not in my plate, but constantly looking at the plates of others. How much food in them, how much in them, who got what in life. In my life, how much did my brothers get, how much did my sisters get, siblings get, relatives get, what did they get, what did I get, calculations on all that. Non-aste. Completely eyes on something else. On the road, watching somebody else's property, eyeing somebody else's property, feeling jealous about somebody's house, somebody's property, somebody's spouse, feeling the urge that if I would have had that house or that spouse or some kind of a name, something like that, how good it would have been. That's just a dangerous thought. If awareness is not there, power of discrimination is not there, and you can't see that thought can turn into words. Then you start speaking about it. You can shamelessly go and even talk to people about it. You can go and tell somebody else's spouse, I want you in my life. Because the first part, the thoughts, was not monitored. Now it has entered your speech. Guts forming more powerful. And if there also there is no power of discrimination, and you cannot control that, It will turn into actions. You will actually go and do it. You will actually want to be with physically with somebody else's spouse or relationships, or you will actually want to go and possess somebody's house. You will get violent. You might manipulate the law to get hold of the possessions of somebody else. You might manipulate people so that they write the will in your name or give you a better share. You might threaten people. It can go to any extent. You can see how dangerous it is. It all begins from the thought. So, right now, if you are having a thought and you look at this thought and you say it's a harmless thought because it is just a thought and it belongs to me, who will know about it? Be very careful because it builds up momentum. Before you know, it can turn into words, and you will be seeing that you will be even discussing it with friends. And it might seem very cool how you want to obsess or possess somebody else's property or thing. And sooner than later, you might be even compelled to do that. What is happening in all these stages? Lack of discrimination. Buddhi completely dull or dead. Intellect is dead. The Viveka is dead. Why it is dead? No awareness in it. If you live a life of awareness, your Buddhi sharpens. Even if thoughts are bad, because you can have bad thoughts, that's a different thing. It's not that it will be all be goody goody thoughts only, because you are talking about janmas. So many things are remaining inside, and that is what the life journey is all about, clearing them all little by little. So it's obvious that you will have lot of such samskaras. It's very common to have it. Bad thoughts. Even I have bad thoughts. I have negative thoughts coming to my head. But if the power of discrimination cannot rule it, if it cannot see what is real, what is unreal, and if it considers it's okay, chalta hai, then you are for a toss. Then you are blowing air into the fire. That is what Lord Mahavir talks here about astheya. Do not eye anything that does not belong to you. These are the five principles that he is talking about. Ahimsa, Satyavachan. Ahimsa is non-violence. Satyavachan is truthfulness. And third is Aste, not eyeing anybody else's, whatever belongs to somebody else. And fourth is Brahmacharya, celibacy. Brahmacharya, celibacy means refraining from sexual conduct or misconduct, sexual misconduct. Patan ka karan, it is said by many masters, many scriptures, the sexual powers. It's so powerful, Kamvasana. It can throw off even greatest of yogis. And it is one of the last thing to go. Sex vasana is also related to ego. Stronger the ego, stronger the vasanas. It has a direct link. Even the sexual center and the tongue has a good connection. Swadhisthana and the tongue, mouth. Jiva ka bhog. Jiva vasana. To eat. This is also one of the deadliest. These two are the last to go. Sexual and the urge to eat. Relish. Because both are flavors. Both are pleasures. Both are taste buds. It's all on taste. Pleasures. Enjoying the pleasures. And both are interrelated. You'll see that eating pleasures is more, sexual pleasures also will be more. or vice versa. They are interrelated. Control of one controls the other. This is how they live their life, Mahavira. Not that he was fanatic and induced a rule, don't do this, do this. He said it can be a problem to you if you don't take care of it. And refraining, if you are not able to refrain. Refraining, again, I'm telling, it's not that you won't have thoughts. I never said that. You can have all these kind of thoughts because it's natural to have those kind of thoughts. But if you don't have the power of discrimination, viveka, or your awareness sharpened there, you can fall. First, it will be a thought, simple, humble, nice thought, harmless thought, which, if it is not having discrimination, will convert into words. Then you see, you'll start talking cheap jokes, crude jokes, non-veg language, and then sooner or later that will turn into actions. Power of discrimination, if not applied in the first stages, it can be dangerous. It can be very, very tough to overcome it. Again, the sexual vasana is one of the most strongest and not the easiest to overcome. And all these vasanas cannot be fought with direct. Just like you can't fight with the ego. Ego cannot fight with ego. Ego cannot fight lust also, because lust also is ego only, outcome of ego. It has to be slowly transcended. Like Bhagavan Ramana says, all these vasanas are very difficult to combat from the mind level. Almost impossible. You might agree with me how dangerous it is and how powerful these forces are. You do whatever you want. Some or the other they'll creep. That is why Bhagavan Ramana said, when you start abiding in the self, the vasanas weaken. That is the only way, he says, to weaken the vasanas. To uproot the vasanas completely. Because that path of Atma Vichara leads to Manonasha, not Manolaya. What we do is Manolaya. We suspend the mind, we enter into dhyana, we enter into all modes, different modes, states of consciousness, but the mind is still existing. Mind has only entered into Manolaya. Manolaya means absorption. It has got absorbed in the self. When the mind gets absorbed in the self, that results in Samadhi. But the mind is not yet finished. Atma Vichara is one method which Ramana said, not just Ramana, Yog Vashisht, it is mentioned. Maharishi Vashisht gave this advice to Lord Rama, Atma Vichara. Who am I? One powerful way where if you continuously live in your or abide in your self, the mind and ego starts weakening because it's not getting power. And that is exactly what shifting into awareness is talking about. Because the self and awareness are not different. On a deeper level, you are pure awareness. The quality of the soul is pure awareness. You take Vashishta Yoga and you'll see this word awareness everywhere. That you are awareness. And how to become aware. All same words we'll see. We'll see in Atma Bodha. Awareness means no mind, which we have done it many times. Whenever you enter into deep states of awareness, there is no mind. Why even deep state? You just become aware of your thumb very deeply and you'll see there is no mind. When you are aware of your thumb, you cannot have sexual thoughts. You cannot have anger, you cannot have jealousy. You cannot have any of the psychic impressions of the mind at that time. So these we are doing small practices. We might be just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, maximum 1 hour. We might be in awareness, and we are seeing that the mind is moving into manolaya. But when this practices intensify and you start living in awareness, all the time you are in that discriminative mode of viveka and awareness. It becomes very easy from there to practice Atma Vichara. Atma Vichara cannot be taught by anyone. No guru can teach it. They may reveal the method to you, but you have to practice it on your own. Like I've mentioned this many times, nobody can give you self realization. No guru can give you self realization. No masters, ascended masters can give you that. No avatars can give you self realization. No God can give you self realization. They may help you in some or the other way, but work you must. And that work on self begins at Atma Vichara. Till Atma Vichara, there are all kind of paths you can take. I am not saying this. Shastras are saying this. All kind of paths lead only to one point of Chitta Shuddhi, Mana Shuddhi, after which Atma Vichara can become easy. Till then, it is just a philosophy. You might not even understand what I'm telling right now. Few of them will understand. Those who have done Upadesh Saram will clearly understand how and why, because we have meditated very deep on it. Not just read the scripture, we actually sat there sentence by sentence going deeply and experiencing that, so that there is 100% conviction in what we are listening to. It's not just intellectual wisdom. So Lord Shiva reveals it very clearly in the scriptures, the step by step process of all the margas, the bhakti marga, the karma marga, the rajyog marga, will all lead to jnana marga. Jnana marga is the wisdom of the self. That is why it is called jnana marga. But to reach jnana marga, jnana means not buddhi, what you feed in the mind, what you learn. Gyan is what erupts from inside, the wisdom that comes from inside. The Brahma Gyan opens up. Brahma Gyan is Atma Vichara. It begins from there. But it opens up only after that worthiness of Chitta Shuddhi. So all the paths actually work towards cleansing your mind and take you to that level. That is why that Himalayan yogi told me, no austerities, no tapas can give you moksha. It will only lead you till Chitta Shuddhi. After that, there is an inward journey, absorption. Today, I put a post of Osho saying that when you're fed up with the world, only the inward journey will start. Very true. All these masters like Mahavir, Buddha, Jesus, Ram, you look at them, they were all introverted, completely absorbed. And Mahavira's life, you see, Buddha's life, you see, fed up. When they are fed up with the outside world, only their real internal quest began. They didn't go hand in hand with the world, because they knew it will delay the process. It's not that it's impossible, it will take a long time, because there are chances of you again and again drowning, which we all can see how we drown very easily, how difficult it is. If you do not absorb yourself, it's very difficult, very, very difficult. It's like two legs in two boats, and then you are trying to balance it, boat on water. And sometime it will split away and you are in the water. You cannot keep both the feet. You may. That is what somebody wrote on the comment, what Osho said. But it's possible, the inward journey and outward journey. I said only to a certain extent it's possible, inward and outward. That is this extent what I'm saying, where all the margas complete come and end, where the Atma Chintan begins, the Brahma Gyan begins, the Atma Vichara begins, and one has to go within. You at that state cannot go outside and inside. It will not work. Outside and inside, the worldly as well as the spiritual can go only till that extent. But after that, to your salvation, to your mukti, it is complete absorption. And that is what happens even in the householder path, the sannyas ashram, the grahastha ashram. There is brahmacharya, there is grahastha, and then there is vanaprastha. Till vanaprastha, you can do all this dodging, world and spiritual, all that fine. But in sannyas ashram, tell me, you look at your own history and tell me, you will never find people in the world and in the, they are completely sannyas, gone, withdrawn. Till vanaprastha, they are again 80-20%. 20% still in the world, 80% withdrawn. They are practicing for sannyasa. This is how the science of the four ashrams goes. So if we are very comforted by our desires and vasanas and endless desires, trishnas, we will justify we are a householder path, but we will never talk about vanaprastha and sannyas that is following, going to come after grahastha. Many of us don't even know about it. You'll see all the great rishis once upon a time who were there. They were also very active, but they had these phases. You see, even Mahavir was active. He practiced brahmacharya. He practiced even grahastha. He had a daughter. But then vanaprastha. He was still in the world. He did not completely move out. He roamed around in the world. He interacted with people. All those things were there. He experimented. But a time came when he had to completely withdraw himself. And that is not done by law. It happens naturally. And in that absorption, he attained kaivalya, self-realization. It is called kevala jnana. Kevala jnana is the enlightened wisdom. See, there also jnana is there. He attained wisdom, they say. This is the jnana marga, self-inquiry, the vichara, atma vichara. So you can see, and he was not into holding, that is what is mentioned, aprigraha. No possession of things, not even his own clothes. That is the extreme level of detachment with anything. No possession of even anything, no ownership of anything. Absolutely no ownership. I was listening to Osho, he was talking so beautiful that even though Mahavir was married, people called him married, but Osho said, I don't think he was married. In my terms, he was never married, because a married person can be only the one who is possessing something. His wife, his husband, her husband. You have somebody under you. You have something. You own that person. My own, you say, no? Own people. You own them in some way or the other. Even if you don't claim ownership, you are still owning them. Look, when you marry, you have complete ownership for the other person. You want the other person to be in a certain way, the way you want it to be. Why? Because you have entitlement to that person. You believe that person is yours. Ownership. So Mahavira's ownership, which he did not have for his clothes, it is very obvious. How can he have ownership for his husband or his daughter? He never even owned his own kingdom, his own parents. Nothing he owned. Not even his body. Sharir bodhini. Because if you don't own your body only, you cannot have body consciousness. And that is why he was nude. So you can see the extreme level of non-possession. The messages of these great masters. For us to learn, we need not just copy them blindfold. Many people follow Mahavira and they say, okay, we are also going to be nude or less clothes, or we are going to renounce everything and come out on the streets and wander like Mahavira. You'll have a tough time, because what you're trying to do, you're trying to copy somebody, whereas you're not catching the message. You're following the messenger, what the messenger did. You're not seeing what the messenger's message is. And here today we are talking, here what? Every time when we talk somebody, we are talking only about the message, not the messengers. We look at the messengers, but we catch their message and implement and see how we can use it in our lives. So these kind of qualities just gives us an understanding of, okay, how serious we need to be on this path. So again, I'm not talking about Jainism or any ism. First of all, Jainism existed even before Mahavira. Mahavira did not bring in Jainism. He was the 24th Tirthankar. All the 23 Tirthankars before him also was following Jainism in one way. You can call it that way. So he was just a replica of the 23 and the last Tirthankar. After that, nobody of that stature came in this lineage. So all that he knew was a kind of absorption. He lived in awareness. His tapas was awareness, because everywhere he did not close eyes and sit. He had walking meditations. He stood and meditated. History says that he was standing and meditating most of the time, even with his eyes open. And that awareness that developed around him says that when he attained Kaivalya, he just knew everything in and out. His awareness, I heard that word was exactly stated. Everything that happened in and around was in his awareness. This was the word that I read. So his main was meditation, fasting. His main tapas was that fasting. He fasted a lot. He only to sustain his body, he kept the food. It was not for Trishna, it was not for Vasana. It was not for the pleasure that he ate. Just that his body sustained enough that he has attained his goal. That is why he kept it. Otherwise, he discarded even food, because food also he believed lengthened the karmic structure. So he was so cautious, very, 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 very keen and very, very sharp, all those things. He never believed in any kind of rituals, no rituals at all. His message was very clear. See, he did not even believe in God. In Jainism, there is no God. Concept is not there. No, even in Buddhism, it's not there. If you see, it's actually atheist. Nastic. Buddhism and Jainism. There's no God. They believe in enlightenment. They don't even believe in a personal God sitting up there and creating, sustaining, destroying. Creation, sustenance, and destruction is not the concept of Jainism or Buddhism. But they do believe that everything is governed by universal laws, and you fall under that. In basic terms, they are just talking about consciousness, simple consciousness. Now, it might challenge our belief systems, and let it challenge. Let it challenge. Because here are the Tirthankar, the maximum people in Jainism you can see self-realized. Girnar Hills, Gujarat, all the Tirthankars attained Nirvana there. There must be something. Must be something. And all of them were Tivra Vairagis. They renounced everything. None of them believed in God. They had neither aversion for God nor craving for God. But still, there is the peaks of enlightenment. What does this show? You decide. You take any marga, with God, without God, anything. It says this is all not conditioned by anybody's any kind of belief. You might believe in a certain thing, that's fine. You might believe in an Ishta, that is fine. Ishta also can give you moksha, but no Ishta also can give you moksha. That means the path is just open to everybody. That is why some great being once said, as many souls, those many paths. All the paths work. So once you understand this concept, where is me and mine? Where is ours is bigger, theirs is bigger? See the proofs. Every religion, every faith, every path, every master, every way, there are success rates. That will humble us down. Bhagwan Ramakrishna Paramahamsa experimented all the religions. Daredevil person he was. Love him. He practiced everything. Christianity, Islam, the Bhakti Marga, Hinduisms. Everything he could think of, he went to do it. And he explored and he wanted to see what happens there. And his conclusion was, everything works. Read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, you will come to know. And he didn't do it half-heartedly. If he chose one thing, then only that. If he chose, for example, Christianity, he was practicing the Bible, Jesus Christ, and nothing else in his head. Everything else, even the Kali worship, everything stopped. And he was only in that for months together and had vivid experiences. He experienced even Christ, everything. It's there mentioned. All his experiences are mentioned with Christ. As a Muslim, he stopped everything else, only the Quran. Completely practicing, becoming a namazi, panch waqt, 5 times namaz. Experienced the whole Advaita, the Allah. Experienced it firsthand. Went into the Bhakti Marga, became a Krishna devotee and saw. Such that even his body was transforming into a feminine female, because he was treating like a Krishna as a devotee, like a lady devotee, like a husband. And there could be traces on his body where his femininity body was become feminine. And when somebody asked him about him, he couldn't even realize about Ramakrishna. He said, who's that? Because he was believing in some female devotee. That's also a sect in the Bhakti Marga. He tried everything. He had the guts and audacity. And what was his end result? He said everything works. These are the great messages. Once you know this very clearly, you will have oneness. Master once said that in one of the top cave in Girnar, it was written that by Tirthankar that शिवत्व को प्राप्त होना, competition. Now the argument will become Shivattu ko prapt hona matlab Jainism is not big. Somebody in the Tirthankar wrote Shiva is there. So see, Shivattu ko prapt hona, there are a lot of things. I don't want to get into it. But if you go into the Tirthankars, you will see that the first Tirthankar was Rishabh Mahadev, Adinath. Now see the resemblance. Now nobody knows. This is all history. What we are all doing is all belief systems. Who knows what exactly happened those days? Now if you see Adinath, the first Tirthankar, and if you see his description, you will find it same like Shiva, Bholenath. And Shiva is considered to be one of the ancient Adi Yogi, the first yogi. And Jainism, you'll see Adinath, lot of resemblance. He had jata. The description of Shiva had jata. Shiva had Nandi, the bull. And you see the icon of Adinath, Tirthankar, was bull. There are symbolisms of water flowing from his mouth, wisdom flowing from his mouth. And there you have the Ganga flowing from the hair of jata of Shiva. Many such things are there. Many such resemblances are there. So it is human nature, human ego to look at this and then compete and say, I wouldn't want to go with any names because it's all coming from one source. You name it anything. So naturally, all this claiming is there. That this is that and that is this and all that. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the Tirthankars were the best example of renouncement from the world. Is all of them prince, all of them coming from royal families, one after the other, one after the other. Whether they believed in this god or that god, they had nothing to. They never talked about any god. At least it's not there in anywhere in their history. So let us say they were following some god also, and they might have renounced it also. What I'm saying is, even after renouncing, also they attained kaivalya. So it is not in a particular god or a particular religion. It's about pure purity. All these texts that you take, all the practices that you take, it's all leading. Only one thing is essential for mukti: purity. You purify, whether you have affinity to a religion, god, dharma, doesn't matter. You will have it. So Mahavir was not a person of rituals. No adambar, no karmakanda. Just purity was his tattva. In certain lifestyle you live, purity you attain, kaivalya you will get. Just like Ramlinga Swami of Vadalur. No rituals, no karmakanda, nothing. Just serve, unconditional love. He was just serving the poor, living among the poor, and talking only of jnana, atma jnana. That's all. And worshipped nothing but fire. That is why if you go to Vadalur, is where he attained Jiva Samadhi, he left with his body. His body turned into light, because it is said when he was living also, he lived a few inches above his feet did not touch the ground, because that was his purity level. And his body was almost transparent, almost like light. It was a hazy kind of a figure whenever he walked. Purified to that level. And what did he do? No karma kanda, nothing. He did not even preach about God. He did not preach about any religion. He talked only about grace and the flame, the light. His tattva was only light, because light is purity. Only the Jyoti. That is why Arut Perum Jyoti, Tani Perum Karune Arut Perum Jyoti is Mool Mantra. Arut Perum Jyoti, Arut Perum Jyoti, Tani Perum Karune Arut Perum Jyoti, Arut Perum Jyoti, Arut Perum Jyoti, Tani Perum Karune Arutperum Jyoti. He talked only about the Jyoti, the light, and the grace of that light. That's all. And he attained. This is what he used to sing all the time. His mantra was this. And he attained that effulgence. That's what Mahavir also lived like. Nothing else. Just this pure talks. And he's telling what all these ahimsa, satyavachana, asteya, brahmacharya, aprigraha, all this just leads to purity. That's all. And what am I talking from day one? Even that Himalayan monk told me everything leads only to purity, chitta shuddhi. And what is Chidakasha Gita talking about? Nirmal man, pure mind. Because all these paths will only purify you. That's all. And once you purify, then the actual inward journey of who am I begins. Atma Chintan. Then you are not bothered about anything else. Only thing you want to know is who am I, or where am I, or what am I not, and even where am I not. All these kind of deep questionings, and the investigation begins. At that time, it is only inward journey. Then no outward and inward, worldly and spiritual, all that will stop there. At Chitta Shuddhi, it will stop. Its end. After that, it is only inward. And actually, there is no inward. When I was mentioning the Upadesha Saram, when we are meditating, you come to know there is no inward. As the verses progress, it says that there is no inward, no outward after that state, because that is non-dual. Inward, outward is still dual state. So somebody wrote on that Osho's text today, saying that no, it's possible both inward. I said yes, but only to a certain extent it is possible. Inward and outward journey. After that, you cannot go on two. It all merges into one, and there is no inward and outward also, non-dual. And at that non-dual state, there is no worldly stuff. It's completely sukshma, subtle, and it's purely about consciousness. It is not about gross consciousness. It is not about matter anymore. It is only about the subtle tattva. So these are the tattvas of Mahavira. And non-violence to such an extent, purity to such an extent, not even causing harm to insects and all. It might not be practical, but his level of compassion was that. Absolutely not even hurting anything. And it's deep science, huh? It's very deep science. It's not just somebody is just um, fanatically telling, let's not harm anything. Let's not even do agriculture, because in Jainism they don't even do agriculture, because they're, while tilling the field also, they feel you kill so many worms and earthworms and so many things are there. So you'll see in Jainism you will not find farmers. Most of them turn to trade and business and all that, whatever that might be. But the intention of Mahavira was not to harm anything. That is why even they cover their mouth. They don't want to harm even the germs that will enter there. Compassion. Compassion for the pain of others, not to harm anybody, not even plants, not even stone. Mineral kingdom also they will not. They're so sensitive. See, they have discriminated all these senses. Panchindriya wale ek hai. We have five senses, and there are beings that have four senses, three senses, two senses, one sense. They were categorized. Now they make sure ki all these categories, that which has one sense, two sense, three sense, four sense, and five sense, like us also, nothing should be harmed. The greater the senses, the more the injury you cause. Like for example, man has five senses. Not just man. He says man has five senses, animals have five senses, heavenly or celestial beings have five senses, even hellish beings in the Naraka, lower realms, also have five senses. They experience life through the five senses. So causing any kind of injury to this has higher rate of karma. Anything with the five, the lesser you go, the lesser the karma, but karma is still there, maybe lesser. Like we have four senses. Four senses means The bees, the flies, the mosquitoes, they have four indriyas. They don't have the hearing, missing. One indriya is reduced. So a little lesser karma than that. Then three senses, like the juve, lice, or termites. Two senses are missing there. Hearing भी नहीं है, sight भी नहीं है. No hearing, no sight. So they have only three indriyas. Lesser karmas. It goes down again and again. Then two senses, the worms, the leeches, all those kind of categories. Now these have only two senses, the touch and taste. That's all. The rest three are absent in them. Lower karmas. And one sense which has only one sense, touch, plants, and the five elements, Panchamahabhutas. See, they also have touch sense, like the fire, water, earth, wind, plants, minerals like rocks, crystals, gems, any precious stones. They all have one sense, the touch. So they also come under karma. Cutting a plant, cutting a tree also will induce some amount of karma. So that is the level of that sensitivity that Mahavir looked at. Not harming anything. The higher, the more the senses, the more the harm, the more the pain, the more the suffering. Like the Panchindriyas, humans have more pain. Even animals. That is why non-veg. Because killing and harming, they are the species of five senses. Incurs more of that kind of return karma. So he was very particular not to prolong your life, and that is why he was very particular for all these details in the minutest of details. If you understand what his tattvas are, these are how it was. And see, he was sensitive to even plants. Not even harming plants. And here we look at a rose and we want to pluck it and own it. Look at that. Human nature, animalistic tendencies. Own. Immediately you see something beautiful, you want to own it. You see a beautiful girl, you want to own her. You see a beautiful man, you want to own him. You see a beautiful house, you want to own it. You see a beautiful flower, you want to own it. Immediately ownership. Life of awareness will show this. Life of ignorance will not show it. You live an unconscious life. जैसे चलता है सब कुछ, मौज है, मजे करो, जिंदगी एक ही है, जी लो इसको पूरी तरह से, जी लो। और जीने के लिए आएंगे क्योंकि उसके साथ उतने कर्म भी डेवलप हो जाएंगे। See, so sensitive. See, even Jagdish Chandra Bose and all, they all did this experiments with plants, and somehow they came to a conclusion that okay, they have sensations, they feel pain, they feel emotions. There were other scientists and researchers also who did so much of work to find out that plants can feel pain, though it's not completely proven, but yet there are glimpses, there are chances where researchers have tried to find and prove it, that they have pain. Trees can experience pain. They can experience. They don't have a nervous system and brain like we have to experience like us, but it affects their life. It says. I was listening to someone, and in one talk I heard, I felt so this touched by it. It said that a flower plant can sense human company. It likes human company when you are close to it. It feels the love. It reciprocates in a certain way, and then suddenly you pick the flower. It's like sudden shock for the plant. They said it goes into a kind of confusion. So most of the plants are in confused state. It's like they can't relate it. How, when they're feeling love, suddenly how can there be pain induced there? Sudden, they can't understand that reaction because they are not even settled in that love. And you can, it says the plants like rose and all, they can feel, even the plants that you water every day, they can know your presence. I've read it somewhere that if you are with plants for a certain amount of time, they wait for you again. They await your presence again. They seek forth for that. It might not be exactly how we feel, but they can relate to it. They enjoy that company. They know very clearly. Isn't that so beautiful? I mean, life is so sensitive actually, and we are so senseless to all these things. And people like Mahavir and all that lived such sensitive life, sensitive to everything. Sivatva is nothing but pure tattva, tat sat. I hope all the dharma gurus could relate to that. That Sivatattva is nothing but just a pure element. That's the truth. But there is the spiritual ego that wants to always catch on to that name and form, and give it a command and fight over it and say mine is a glory. I've seen so many guys, so many spiritual guys, great, even spiritual teachers are stuck in this. They can't let go of that name and form. I've never seen them talking openness, oneness, so rigid in one faith. They'll proclaim that one faith, one color, one way, one God, and talk about liberation. Liberation, till the time you even reach close, you'll realize it's all oneness. So if you're talking liberation only in one aspect, you're still not reached there. You're talking from a very gross level of discrimination and telling this is it. Kattarpanthi hai to, fanatics. So I can't relate with this, and I don't want to relate with it. I have left off most of these systems from my head because it didn't make any sense to me. And when I ask questions, there are no answers. So I don't believe in it. I can't relate with it. I go by my experience and the experience of all these great masters. Because I can see oneness in all of them. They never proclaimed their religion. He never proclaimed as Jainism, Mahavira. Buddha never proclaimed Buddhism. Christ never proclaimed Christianity. People created after them. That's another story. But they always spoke about oneness. They had that approach of oneness. They never talked about one color. You'll see this. All these great masters. One color, one faith, one God, one religion, one dharma. They never talked about it. So I can't relate to anybody who talks about one particular dharma, one color, one God, one Ishta, and only this can give you liberation. Maybe for you, because I'm seeing at these masters, they didn't even have one God. You are saying my God, they are God, and here is Mahavira and Buddha saying no God, and they attend it. So I look at history, not at those empty words or empty teachings. I can't relate to it. So this is the tattva of Mahavira. There are still more things. There are so much, but it can go on for long. It can just go on for long. But I believe this much is what I was just looking into a few details. I said, wow, this is so beautiful. So I just noted a few things so that I don't forget. Evil thoughts. Thoughts he gave a lot of importance because he says With evil thoughts, it becomes evil deeds or evil actions. And with evil actions and evil thoughts, character becomes impure. If the character becomes impure, is when the karma comes in. That's what his main teaching revolved around. So his major three things that he held very strong to was something called as a three ratna, three diamonds. That is the right faith, right wisdom, right conduct. Right faith is first knowing the right thing and then having that faith, the right faith, the true faith, the parabhakti, actual bhakti, which Upadeshasaram we have discussed, Chidakasha Gita we have discussed. And then he says, right wisdom, the real gyan, and right conduct, the right action, the right behavior, how we live in society, ethical, morally, you know, in a certain way, you carry yourself in your thought, words, and deeds in purely aligned manners, not haphazard. I've seen people actually living haphazard, and it hurts me because sometimes when the trust is so strong on somebody, and then you see that that person is actually going some other direction and something else is cooking up, all haywire, and I say, what's all this all about? Where are we heading? Are we so lost? Are we so blind that our own conscience cannot tell us what are we doing, right or wrong? And what I mentioned, all this, we have exploited everything and we are not even aware of it. Dangerous. So I always say, keep things always in your awareness as much as possible, dear ones. The path is very lucrative, very testing. The more you evolve, the higher you rise, the more there will be tests. Mark my words. The more tests will come at that time. And the higher you rise, the harder the fall. That is why after a certain stage, it's very difficult to get up. Because the lures and catches of Maya becomes very strong at that stage. So strong you will not even notice it. Like that story of that drunkard. Not drunkard, he's a yogi. He had vasanas, but he goes and meditates in wilderness. And then a girl comes always to give him food or something like that. Story goes every single day. So he's tempted by non-veg and all that stuff. But once he has liquor, thinking it's chalta hai, what happens? Chalta hai. I have seen people in spirituality, liquor, ganja, charas, afim, parties, booze, cigarettes, girls, and still the spiritual title inside all these things happening. So that yogi is sitting there and he says, I cannot touch woman. That girl is like my daughter, because a bad thought comes into his mind. No, he says, no way, that's like my daughter. And then he sees mutton, non-veg, and he says, no way, this I cannot touch this. Tempted, slight temptations come in that state also. Then wine, no way. But somehow the wine vasana overtakes him. And he says, क्या जाता है, थोड़ा ले लेते हैं. I said, one more dip. What big deal? Take one sip. And then he says, oh, ठीक नहीं लग रहा, और एक ले लेते हैं. And take little more, and before he realizes he's drunk. When he's drunk, the power of discrimination is dead. Viveka is dead. You cannot discriminate right, wrong, anything. All the drunkards will never be able to. The buddhi is gone. Now he sees the non-veg No discrimination. Vasanas come over, he eats it, finishes it, gobbles it off. He looks at the girl, he misbehaves and forces her into his lust, destroys her, and he's done all the sins now. In the morning, when he wakes up, he sees and he regrets. He weeps over his actions. What overtook me? That liquor. Wine did it. Nasha of that wine. Intoxication of the wine did everything. Power of discrimination destroyed. Little also what is there? Gone. That is why alcohol is considered to be the worst thing for spiritual aspirants. चलता है या नहीं चलता है. Ya means on this path of liberation. So all those who justify their the misinterpretations of many masters teaching as worldly and spiritual, they think, oh thoda yahan bhi chalta hai, wahan bhi chalta hai. But you can never rise with all these kind of things, especially liquor. If you're drinking, it kills your discrimination, it kills your viveka, it destroys your buddhi gradually, slowly but surely. It kills your consciousness. A drunk person is never conscious. He's dead. His conscience is dead. He can do anything. Can go to any extent. Look at it. He loses his humanity. So chalta hai maybe in glamour spirituality, not for serious seekers of liberation. If these are there a part of you, you got to do something about it. But don't hide yourself justifying the teachings of masters. That's not right. See, a life of awareness is a life of non-drinkingness. When you don't drink, you are Suddh Buddh, Buddhi, Suddh Buddh, Bodhe, you are conscious. But when you drink intoxicated, power of discrimination, Viveka is dead. Same way, when you are aware in life, you are awake, you are conscious. But if you are ignorant, unconscious, you are as good as a drunkard. Only all the mistakes happen in life when you are unaware. When you are not in awareness, only all the blunders happen. You always see this. So that state, that unconscious state is as good as a drunkard state. Sharab piyo na piyo, being ignorant also is as good as drinking wine. Bhaiya, I have a question that whenever I feel low, how to connect to Guru and God for help? Whenever you feel low, it's same like a drunkard cannot think. When somebody is drunk, one part of their mind will say, why am I drinking? I want to get out of it. Or I want to walk straight. But they will not be able to walk straight. I've done all this. I know what a drunkard feel because I was a drunkard. I know inside what happens when you're drunk. I want to walk straight. I want to talk straight. I want to become a gentleman. But I can't become a gentleman. I will tip and fall and talk slurred language. Why? There is no consciousness. So inside there might be this need, urge to walk straight on the path, but my legs are dangling. The state of what we enter into low, whatever we call low, happens only in unconsciousness. सुख में सिमरण करे तो दुख काहे को होए is what Kabira says. दुख में सब सिमरण करे सुख में करे न कोई. Everybody chants the name of the Lord during their problems, but no one chants when times are going good. We remember the Guru, God, We seek for help only when the times are going bad, which is what we call as a low period. You will very carefully, if you observe, you will see if I am in my low and I am unable to chant Guru's name or God's name, I keep trying to chant the name of the Lord when I'm low, but it's so difficult. That is why Kabira said, दुख में सिमरन सब करे, सुख में करे न कोई. Do we chant that when our time is going good? Low period, okay, but high period, it can never be that I am connected in high period and in low period it has not come. 100% even in high period you're not connected. Other times you're not connected. When times are good, you're not connected. Only when you go low, you try to simran kare, dukh mein simran kare. So Kabira says, Sukh mein simran kare to dukh kahe ko hoye. When you can chant the name of the Lord when the time is going good also, why will you have bad times? Dukh kahe ko hai? Why will there be suffering? So first is not the question of when I am low, how do I connect? It's the question that was I connected when I was high? Another way, why did I not stay connected and aligned when things were good? Why did I wait for the low period? Because in low period, everything is difficult. Everybody knows that. In the low period, everything is difficult. That is why spiritual seekers train themselves in such a way that you remain the same in all areas of life. Through all the ups and downs, you remain neutral. We have not practiced neutrality, awareness. If you are aware, conscious, life will always constantly keep you reminded to stay connected. And if you are connected at that time, there is no question of losing that connection. Problem happens when you lose connection. When you lose connection and then you go down, then you are connecting, trying to connect. When you say I'm trying to connect when I'm low, it simply means I disconnected when I was high. Persistence, consistency, living a life of awareness. All times. Spirituality is 24 by 7, not part time. If you take part time business, if you make spirituality part time business, all these problems are very common. कि लुढ़के और फिर रहा ना पाए. कौन किसको याद करे, कौन भगवान को कौन पूछे, कौन गुरु को पूछे, किसकी क्या जरूरत है, दुनिया अच्छी चल रही है, मस्त चल रही है, लाइफ इज गोइंग सो ब्यूटीफुल, व्हाई डू आई नीड, व्हेन आई एम सो हेल्दी and must, why will I think of a doctor? Only when I'm in trouble, I think of the doctor. When I have people around me, I take them for granted. When I lose them, I understand the pain. Till somebody is there around you, you don't value it. You take it for granted. The day you lose it, you're desperate to get back that person. And you say it's so difficult to. Yeah, it's difficult because you have not sustained and maintained it. Sustenance and maintenance is the answer. This is all for kindergarten people. These kind of issues. Right from day one, people ask all these kind of issues. When I'm in trouble, what to do? The whole ideology you see, the questions will also not arise when times are good. So what happened during those times? I see so many people in my life. I never see them around. Neither they are in this life, neither they are in any satsang, neither they are interactive, neither they are practicing nothing. Things go wrong, they remember me. Suddenly a message comes, a mail comes, a sign up for personal consultation comes. Very desperate mode it comes. For months and years, I don't see some people. And then suddenly they end up and say, I'm in this trouble. I know that because if I see you after a long time, I know there is some problem. That is why you are here. Because if things were good, why would you have been here? Because things were good, you took things for granted and you have, now you're remembering it when times are bad. I'm not very serious for such beings. Really, I mean it. Not that it's no compassion, but there's no point. Because then, if I sit and try to solve your problem, also you'll run away again and remember these things again when you have a problem. And I've seen these repeated patterns. There have been so many instances. People ask for advice and it's given. Long time I used to do this. They write, they question something, and I write long answers, sitting there and trying to explain things, and sometimes even putting my energy and time there. And then I don't even find a reply. There's not even a reply. So I don't know whether they saw it, they heard it, they took it, or they didn't like it. And the reality is, they took the message, but that that nature is so, what do you call, so so mean that काम हो गया निकलो. You don't even have to acknowledge. You just लो निकलो. And then they go and apply it and all that, and then no, पता ही नहीं for years together, for months and years. And so then suddenly I see another after a year asking questions. जैसे कि यही करने के लिए बैठे हैं कुछ लोग, बस दुनिया का सॉल्व करने बैठो. मतलब आप हो तो आपका काम ये है, आपका बनता है भाई, आप बैठो, आप इसके लिए बैठो. So, and you owe response, you own responsibility for all this, and you have to answer. You are answerable to me. This is recklessness, or what you call carelessness, or this is meanness. These kind of crude attitudes don't work in spirituality. It's not about give and take, but this kind of attitude when we carry, just snatching, running here, there, what to gain from here, there, and then being reckless, careless, doing whatever you want, and then when in trouble, go and run here. What a chaos this is. This is still not serious spirituality. So what I have done is I've stopped looking into those areas. Whatever they think, it's okay. Whatever my mind might try to make me guilty, I said it's okay, but it's senseless. I would rather spend my time with people who are very serious and dedicated. And I often go beyond my way to be of help, because then it makes sense. Otherwise it's just a ball game that's happening there. The other day also I had somebody like this coming, weeping and crying, weeping and crying. I said, why are you crying now? I'm in this trouble. So I'm explaining, saying, do you don't judge me and all that. You just tell me quickly about all this. What should I do now? I'm in trouble. So it's like I should not even be harsh. I shouldn't even tell reality. What is the reality? I shouldn't even explain the truth of what you don't tell me all that. Give me the solution. Means in that comfort only bring out something. And when I said no, you are going to get it this way only, whether you wanted to take it. And again, there was strict resistance. No, it can't be this way. Weeping, crying. I said, you cry, you tumble, you do anything you want. That ego has to break first. It's so rigid, that shell of ego. Without breaking that, No answers can penetrate you because you will superficially hear something and do the same old nonsense which you did. Because you were talking right now also. For the past 2 years, you have been coming again and again when there are problems. And every problems I suggest something, you then take it and go away. And you never act on it also. And then again trouble. And that trouble after trouble after trouble, now it has boomeranged, it has come till here. And now you're getting desperate. And even getting wild and angry because at me, when I'm trying to still offer you solution and trying to point out why this is not breaking through. This can be the rigidity of the mind, guys. It's very, very strong, the ego and the mind. Life cannot be self-centered. You look at Mahavir's life, it was never self-centered. It was self-centered, capital S, the soul center, but not the mean center. For me, you look at our lives, it is always self-centered. It believes we believe that we are the around me the whole existence is because of me. you you contemplate on this and see, if you are going on a road, you'll feel that the road belongs to you and that you can move anywhere in that lane and be in that, and if somebody misses a little lane also, and you can get wild because you belong, that the whole thing belongs to you. When you're driving, it's your space. You see, the road rage killing also happens because of this. They believe that everything belongs to them and nobody, the whole world functions, is supposed to do my service, seva to me. That is how our existence is. We feel that when we go to a orchard and we see a tree full of mangoes, we go and pluck it. We believe it is made for me. We see a rose, we go and grab it. It is made for me. Anything, anywhere you go, there is dominance. You stand in a bus, crowded bus, and you believe the whole existence, the whole bus is running for you, because your time and everything, it feels the whole train. If you're in a train, in a local or in a metro, you'll feel the whole metro is running for you. Whole existence is centered around me and mine, my existence. And it is like the attitude will be subconscious, this is subtle, it will be such that the whole world can wait for me. Sab wahi ke wahi ruke, do whatever, I don't care. That is why when I'm going and there is some accident, there's something, who cares, I'm getting time, the whole, this is very important, my existence is very important. If an animal comes your way, you will kick it. If an insect comes, you will kill it. Nothing can stop you. When you enter your house, you're the king. It's like the whole house, the whole family is there for you. Just observe this and see. My whole family is for me. They don't have an existence. I am here, so I am the first priority here. I should be taken care of. Everybody has this kind of thing. This is all coming from, if you have a very sharp awareness, you will notice all these flaws also everywhere. That these are what strengthens the ego, the biggest culprit to break through. And then our approach becomes like this: I've come for you for help, and then you give me, I don't want to hear what you want to say and all that. It's all about my existence. Now tell me, I'm in trouble, I have to, the whole world is answerable to me. And such people will even cry. They've cried in front of me. Where is God? Where is He? Means there, God also is for you. When I'm in trouble, He should listen to me. And when I'm doing all my nonsense, who cares? My existence. So when I'm in trouble and I don't seek an answer, don't get an answer. I get irritated, get frustrated, I get depressed, I get angry. Why? Because my existence is threatened now. Observe all these things, and these I can only talk to true seekers on the path of liberation. I'm not talking to fake hypocrites. They will get offended, and these platforms are not for them. This is only for seekers of liberation who can crystal ruthlessly look into their self and take this as a reflection and say, wow, you got a point there. I didn't think about it, and I'll do. Not that, hey, ये क्या बोला ये कुछ भी बकवास करते रहता है, he talks something and then they get crude and then they want to crucify. Immediately another idea comes to them, how to now catch hold of this guy, and how to get even with that. So these are not taken as positively as a life learning sessions or lessons. When I try to sometimes correct, now I am not a corrector, but when it comes to what I am working with, the people I work with, the work that I'm doing, and if there is some nonsense going there, I highlight these things to people and they get offended. Somebody was doing some nonsense, and then I said, I've heard you're doing, why are you getting involved in all this? Oh, so somebody complained to you? See the arrogance. Means I can do whatever I want and nobody should even complain all the bullshit that I do. Only the mean crudeness, the centered, self-centeredness. Spirituality is दूर दूर तक नाता नहीं है. It is all time pass that such people are doing here. They think they're doing, and they get offended very easily. They can do all the blunders and mistakes. ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती है, दोनों हाथ से बजती है. So when two people are involved, when I talk to two people, both act innocent. But ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. ताली दो हाथ से बजती है. And we must have the audacity to see inside. Something was there within me also. Not put the blame there and feel offended and run away. Run away, run away. It's not a big problem. I'm not sitting here to please anybody. As I have always told, till I'm capable of doing it, I do it. I'm happy. Even when I'm not doing it, if I don't do it tomorrow, I'm happy. My life is not centered on this existence because it is centered on that main goal. So come what may, whether I'm on camera doing spirituality or doing offline spirituality, what is my essence is spirituality should be there on camera or behind camera. That's important. That's the persistent and consistent. That is what I'm learning even from Mahavir. Persistence. Father said no, persistent. Today, father says no, you'll say no. Big obstacle. My father only is my dushman. So I'll wait for my father to conquer so that I can do after that. There are people who have told me this. I'll wait for that. Mahavir didn't wait. Mahavir said, okay, father is not allowing, I'll practice here. But I practice. I cannot go. So in confinement also he was persistent. Then his brother did not allow him to go. Said, no, father has left, how can you go? He quietly returned back and he did that. To a certain extent, all these years, he had mastered to such a level that he was non-existent there. And when people saw, then he is non-existent here. When the physical body only is here and he is not here, what are we catching on? The physical body, he is not here. In spirit, he is not here. So how does it make a difference? Body is here or there? Like somebody asked me once about the Guru. He is only here. We can feel his body is here, but he doesn't seem to be here. And I said, yeah, why he's not a person who's confined to his body. You are confined to your body. That's different. So you can see only body consciousness, but the one you are pointing out is not a body person. His consciousness is everywhere. And where he wants to reside, he will be there. Maybe in some devotee's heart, maybe in some disciple's heart, maybe in his Ishta's heart, maybe in some dimension where he wants, in the Siddhaloka, Meherloka, wherever he wants, Swargaloka, wherever he wants is there. But he is not confined to that body. So you hold the body, you capture the body, you keep the body, one room, one chair, do anything. You can't confine that spirit there. The spirit is free, boundless, Jivan Mukta, Mukt. Mahavir was that way. His brother said his body is only here. He is not here. So let him go where he wants. And when he was let go and said, "You go," Mahavir just walked. He didn't do yeah. If he has stopped, also fine. If he's let go, also it's fine. But he is connected. Avadut Bhagwan Nityananda, when he was in the train, and people, the TT came and said, "Where is your ticket?" And no ticket. Avadut, Nagnu Gumne wala, where can he even keep the ticket? Let's get out of the train in Kannur railway station. Put him out. They pushed him out. No complaints. He went, quietly stood under the lamppost. Train did not move. All things they did, everything they did. Finally, they came to know must be because of this what we did. They went and apologized and said, "Please come back, Baba." They brought him with very kindness. No complaints, no. As they called him, he walked in. Neither there was victory, yay, or there was depression, yay, they kicked me out. Neutral, somehow, everywhere, inside, outside, irrespective of what is happening outside, disconnected. So these are all the tattvas that we can learn from all these great masters, all these great ascended masters. So whenever you look on to any kind of such great master, don't be too much engrossed in what their followers did, or what the religion did, or what people wrote about him. Just look into the tattvas of what they followed. That's enough. That's your teaching. Take the direct teaching from the messenger itself. Don't go into the interpreted versions. It will confuse you. This is what I saw today from my learning. So you can always keep learning from great people in this manner. It's 11:45 anyways. So if you have any questions, you can quickly ask me, and if I know anything about it, I'll answer. So one beautiful thing happened was I got a call when I was in Tirunamalai, almost finished my retreat. I was sitting. I got a call from Josna Pai, who lives in Belgaum, this place where I'm living. And after almost close to 20 years, not 20 years, 15 years, she found my number and she called, and I was very happy. And I asked, what happened? Then she said, "Hey, where are you? Let's have a satsang." I said, "Satsang?" Then I remembered the first satsang that I had in 2009 was in her restaurant, where there were 20 people, and I taught them. I remember I taught them meditation, some kind of meditation those days. And then that it had certain effects on me, and then I stopped it. Somebody told me, don't do it. After that, I did not enter into that field. So after close to that 15, 18 years, I've restarted it now. And 1 year I've started, like in January, I started continuously. And now I get a call from her. She's reminding me, "Oh, can we have a satsang, in this place you are staying here?" I said, "Why not?" "Surely, because I'm doing it everywhere. Why not in my own place?" She said, "Oh, great. What are you doing this?" I said, "This is what I'm doing." He said, "Oh, full time into it." Yeah. And this lady is Josna Pai. She is the granddaughter of Devraj Pai. Devraj Pai was the first ever devotee of Bhagwan Nityananda in Kanyangad. When Kanyangad Bhagwan was building the caves, the headmaster Devraj Pai and his wife used to serve Bhagwan all the time. And his wife, Devraj Pai's wife, was the one who used to take tiffin at night to Bhagwan. Bhagwan never ate, but just to keep her happy, used to eat something in that wilderness. I'd read their stories. And then when the first time, out of somewhere, we had some strange coincidences, and she said, "Okay, come and do the session." I was doing some yoga classes somewhere. I was learning yoga, and she came out of nowhere and she said, "Okay, I heard you are good in some meditation things." I said, "I have never done it." She said, "Come, there's a restaurant, you come and do it." And she's owning one of the good place here, and she gave me the hall, and there were 20 people. And when I was sitting on the dais, I looked back, there was Nityananda's photo. I said, "Wow." This is good to have him here. And then I asked her, how come? Then she said, we are connected to Bhagwan. I said, how? And she said, I'm Josna Pai, granddaughter of Devras. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? She said, yes, we are connected to that family. And my first ever retreat happened actually in this family. Some connection, I don't know. And now she called again. So this Sunday, I'm having this power of forgiveness session in the morning, 9 to 1. And then 5 o'clock, they have invited me. And they have even arranged some good hall and all. That's what they told me. And they said they can frequently have it. So one satsang is going to regularly begin here also. So that was good news for me. And this is all a time when Bhagwan's tattvas are happening. And the Chidakasha Gita also is pending. I'll start that in 2 days, 1 or 2 days. And then consistently keep it going every 6:30 in the morning. We will have that. Either recording or live, whatever is possible, I'll do it. But we'll keep it consistent. So that you will have enough understanding of Chidakasha Gita. I believe we are getting deep insights of all these higher tattvas. Upadesha Saram I'll be doing on one day. I'll announce that. A very nominal cost, again, for those who are really interested. So it will be close to 5 to 6 hours again, where we are completing the whole Upadesha Saram in depth, meditatively, meditating, experiencing it like we had in the retreat. I don't know how it's going to be on Zoom, but I hope it will be good enough with the grace of the mandala. Chidakasha Gita is already side by side happening. Yoga Vashishta is another topic that I'll be taking and also unfolding whatever is there in that. Ashtavakra Gita is another. So these are few in the pipeline. In Kanyanad retreat, I'll be fully focused on Chidakasha Gita and Yoga Vashishta, two of them, and living in awareness completely, experiencing the place there and taking the grace of Bhagavan Nityananda, especially those 43 caves. It's a very special significance, very, very much, because that's where a lot of experiences I had in my first journey, and I've gone there at least 25 to 30 times now, and all the time beautiful experience. So now I just want to share those experiences with the people who are there around. I think around 10, 12 of them have already total up there and still are coming. So if you are interested, you can always join. I don't know, many couldn't make it. Even when I announced it first week, because they're far, like Mumbai and Delhi, and big problems with trains and getting reservation because it's holiday season on the top of that, and flights may be costly. I don't know, but they can make it. If somebody from Singapore can come all the way, traveling from Singapore to Trivandrum, and from Trivandrum taking a overnight train and reaching Kanyanad, they can do that. It's all on their call, inner call, and what they want. So it's their divine will, whatever. So I look forward there to this retreat again. And then we have a retreat coming up in June, as I told, Tirunamalai, back in Tirunamalai. So few more countries people are coming in this time, and we are looking forward to have a blissful time, and again choosing selective, very selective, not a public event. And we are just little more careful again with the group, because I have excluded two people out of the group last time. Because any little misalignment also, I don't want to take any kind of chances there, because it will distract themselves, it will distract the crowd, it will distract me. And I know the more deeper and stronger you go with this, the more these challenges will come. It will try to put obstacles. So you got to be careful, very careful. And the people who are connected with these platforms, just stay centered in yourself. There's no need to connect with anybody. I don't have any partners, working partners, nor have I given anybody that kind of permission, nor am I sharing any kind of responsibility with anybody. So even if anybody takes my name or something, don't fall for it. I only teach independence, and I will never hook on you to another person. The last person that I want you to get hooked off is myself when the time is right. So I will never hook on to you. to another person. So if somebody is trying to fulfill their needs and desires and vasanas through you, be very careful. Maya world, this is, and I tell you, it's not spared the Himalayas. It will not spare even Kanjangad or Tiruvannamalai or Rishikesh or any everywhere it's there. You just got to be fully aware. Don't be naive in spirituality. I've seen many people getting timid. Anywhere you go, you are suddenly a spiritual person. You can fall at anybody's feet. That's not spirituality. I've seen this. Somebody the other day was traveling down the south and they called me and said, be careful in this place. There is a yogi kind of a person. He's literally, literally he catches the hand and he's making sit and talk these things and getting engaged. I said, no, nobody can do that to you until you are a knave or a timid person. They can read your body language. They can see who's vulnerable, who's helpless, and who's too bhakt bhara hua, who's ghabrayo andar se. If you have a certain level of confidence and you are going there for something and you are focused on that, and if you have little bit of awareness and discrimination, you can discriminate between false and true. You can just look at some person and know their intention. Even if you're in doubt, you can have one or two interaction and gauge properly what is the intention. You're not If you're not feeling from good, run, move away from there. Anywhere in the spiritual path, wherever you go, any geographical location, if you don't feel good from here, pull back. That's it. Your intuition will guide you. And when you pull back very confidently, nobody will coerce you. I know this. Nobody will do that. They can only do it when you are giving into it. So you are part of the play. So when somebody told me that you got to be very careful, warn other people, there's nothing to warn there because everybody is going with their own buddhi. Buddhi is alert. Why is only some people getting trapped in it? Not everybody. So you got to be bold and naive even in the spiritual path. No means no. My guru always told, don't allow anybody to touch this part, this part. Very clear. Crystal clear message. Got it. That's it. So if anybody, any Tom, Dick and Harry even tries to see Tilak and all is fine. They are putting it. They don't have that. But if somebody is trying to touch here or open third eye or keep her hand on head and do all this, any contact that is physical, run away. I don't encourage it myself. I don't like people hugging me. I don't appreciate hugs because there are ways of you can appreciate love and all that, but you don't have to get physical. Simple as that. Why the touch business? Touch business is something else. It can lead you somewhere else. So even if somebody wants to, if powerful enough, they can do it through sankalpa also. That's not a thing. But sankalpa also happens only when you are open. If you are not open, it doesn't happen. That is why Guru Shishya have the special. When you sit in front of the Guru, only when you open up, that Diksha or that Sankalpa works on you. If you don't open up, it won't work one way. So it doesn't work for anybody, anywhere. Dheeraj, yes, I got a great experience. Thank you for that guidance. Nice learning to me. Yeah. Okay. Good. You are also listening. He also had run into somebody, some fake guru, and he had that experience. He was very scared, so he connected to me and told me about all this. The way he told his experience, I said, forget it. Somebody had given some vibhuti or something in his hand, and he was a little scared. Go and throw it into the water. That's it. Nothing to worry about. Until you get scared, until you open up your things, these things don't work. So you have to be very. You cannot be naive. Don't be timid anywhere. Spirituality is not all this, and you don't need to get in touch with anybody. The other day also, when I was doing the retreat and Avdut Amma, Topi Amma was passing by, people went and touched her feet, and few of our retreat people went and they were trying to get us for attention, and she was like yelling and moving around, irritated. And I told them, Avdut Sharir nahi hai. This is not what we are teaching. Our whole practice of awareness is distance work, is all based on consciousness, all on your awareness. all bet on all on sukshmata, subtlety, and it has nothing to do with touch. Even our individual touch, it has nothing to do each other. If it has nothing to do with each other touch, it has nothing to do with the touch of a avadhuta or a siddha also. Don't fall for it. Maintain distance. From distance, you can do a lot of things. You can gain a lot of things. And those guys, those people are so powerful. They don't need touch to do anything. So don't go with the belief that if you go and fall at the feet of avadhuta, he or she is going to keep hand, and or sometimes I've seen even some nuts taking their hand and trying to keep it on their head. All that is nonsense. It's not needed. That is not what we teach here. Spirituality is your inner connection. It's all about consciousness. So if you are still stuck in the physicality, you can never get that God, because that God is not physical. When are you going to learn to connect with that Param Tattva or the Guru Tattva? They are all very subtle. That is what Upadeshasaram teaches gradually. Karma Kanda will not help you. I don't say this. The Upadeshasaram, the text of Lord Shiva itself says, after a certain stage, or you read Devikalottara. Read Devikalottara. Again, I'm saying the word Devikalottara. Read it, where Shiva admonishes everything. Or you can search in YouTube Devikalottara in Shifting into Awareness. I've done a full session, one Sunday session, and I've read everything in Devikalottara and explained it. Where Shiva is telling, nothing works, nothing works. And to whom is he telling? To his wife, better half, Parvati. There he has admonished, even chakras don't work. Even this is not right, that is not right. You got to leave everything after a certain stage. That is after that state, Chitta Shuddhi, what I'm saying. Before that, you do all these things, fine. But after that, even that doesn't exist. So the whole spirituality, actually, what you and me have learned from this modern world, changes at a certain dimension. Truths are completely different from there. Journey is completely different from there. Your whole perspective changes. For that, you have to develop a lot of courage and a lot of stability to even understand, because that otherwise you will not understand. You'll get so bewildered, or you might get so confused. What is all this? That is why it is said Upadesha Saram is only for ripe souls. It is mentioned in that. Do not casually talk it to anybody. Do not give or share the wisdom to anybody. They cannot fathom it. They cannot handle it. That is the reason I didn't go too deep into it, but somehow in the Tirunavale retreat, exactly that happened. Both the batches, that only was done. So I believe that is how people came there, and that is what it was meant to be. I don't know, because they took it very well. In that, a few were there, little confused and bouncing, and wherever they got bouncy, I said, close the book. Some had reached only till 20, and they were like, oh my god, it was confusing. Huh? Then this, I said, close the book. You are meant to get it only till there. Don't proceed further. So all these things are there. Anyways, it's 12 o'clock midnight. I'll take your leave. Thank you for being here, because of which I could explain and talk these things with you openly. With much divine love and light to all of you. May we all evolve. May we all be free. And yes, somebody has asked about the divine presence. And this is which we had done last time. That is also there. I think you'll find it in shiftingintoawareness.com/events. So go there. All the updated events are there. The Goa satsang has been just postponed to May 7th or 16th. I don't know, but it's postponed to May. Yes, what is open right now is the power of forgiveness, which we are doing on Sunday, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. Oh, glad to see you all here. Good, you all are staying back till so late, midnight. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. See you and take care. Good night.